Hello everybody, in today's video we're going to be going over a upcoming big change in the pattern. We're going to be dealing with really warm heat in parts of the western and central part of the country, and then in the east we're going to be dealing with some chillier conditions. We're also going to be going over the big drought which is happening out west, where some of these areas haven't even recorded more than 2 inches of rainfall over the past almost half a year. So we're going to be going over all of that and more in today's video, so make sure staying tuned all the way until the end. Let's get right into it here, and let's start off with your current National Weather Service page. As you can see, we have some excessive heat warnings in effect for parts of Arizona, Nevada, and California. We have a few more excessive heat warnings in parts of Texas, and then heat advisories which cover much of western Texas, southern New Mexico, much of Oklahoma as well. We have flood watches which cover the mid-Atlantic and parts of the Tennessee Valley, and then also another area into northern Mississippi and a little bit of eastern Arkansas. We have a few severe thunderstorm watches in parts of Missouri, Kansas, Nebraska, and also into Iowa. We have some wind advisories also for parts of North Dakota and Montana. Yesterday we had a high temperature of 116 degrees Fahrenheit at Rio Grande Village, Texas. In Bodie State Park, California, where they got down to 13 degrees Fahrenheit. The highest precipitation report or rainfall report was in Valley Hill, Mississippi, where they got 5.96 inches of rain, and there were no snowfall reports yesterday. So here's the storm reports from yesterday, just to talk about this, because we had 4 tornadoes all in the state of North Dakota, especially in that northwestern corner of North Dakota, where you can see those kind of those red dots. Those are each individual tornado reports. So again, we had 4 all in North Dakota. I believe we had a wind gust report up to 83 miles per hour in the Dakotas. So we had really high wind gusts, and also we saw hail, which was reported up near 1.5 to even 1.75 inches in diameter. So this was a really fairly severe event. It still is actually intact, and we have an enhanced risk now in these areas because of how strong these storms were and how much they held together. These storms held together all through North Dakota, South Dakota, then into Nebraska, and now they're about to head into Kansas and Missouri with still a fairly noticeable intensity. So that's just something I wanted to talk about, because yesterday we did see quite a bit of severe weather, especially in the northern plains. So here's the temperature anomaly map, and this is going to show you how much above or below normal the temperatures are going to be. To read this map, what you basically need to know is that in the blues and the greens, that's where we're below normal. So an example would be along the east coast, where you can see those colder than normal temperatures, and then in those reds and oranges and even some browns, which are going to pop up soon, and that's going to be where you're above normal, and you can see that covering much of the central and western part of the country. So that's basically how you read the map. The more intense and more vibrant the colors, the more above or below normal those temperatures would be. So this would be for tomorrow, and you can see that we have really warm temperatures in through the northern plains and even into the southwest, but this is nowhere near the height of this heat wave, which we're especially going to be dealing with in the southwest, where we could be dealing with temperatures getting up near 120 to maybe even up near 123 or 124 degrees Fahrenheit. So these are going to be really warm temperatures in these areas. If you live along the eastern U.S., it will stay cold in those areas, or chilly, I guess you could say. It won't be necessarily cold, but it will be in the 70s and the 80s, even some 60s in some areas further to the north. So it will be rather chilly for this time of year. If we look at for Sunday, you can see that it really warms up in the west and also into the northern plains. So still warm in many of these areas that have been under a really warm pattern for quite a while. The northern plains have been very warm for a couple weeks now, and then the western U.S., they had a little bit of a break, but it went right back to being warmer than normal. So they're back to this warmer and much drier pattern that they were in before. So this would be for Sunday. If we look at for Monday, warms up even more, especially into the northern Rockies, but also into the southwest, even though it doesn't look like it's extremely above normal in those areas, because your average high temperatures are already near 105 to 110 degrees in some of these spots. Being maybe 5-10 degrees above normal, that's going to be a big difference, because that's going to put you near 120 degrees in a few of these areas. So yeah, let's say your high temperature is on average in parts of southeastern California or southwestern Arizona. Your high temperature is on average maybe 100 degrees. If we're looking at 5 to 10 degrees Celsius above normal, that would be around 10 to 15 degrees Fahrenheit above normal. Now you're getting up near 110 or 115 degrees. So that's really warm for this time of year, and it is gonna create some really humid and hot conditions in many of these areas. So this would be for Monday, and then for Tuesday, it gets even warmer in the southwest, very warm in the northern Rockies and the northwest. Look at that, in parts of Montana, we're near 20 degrees Celsius above normal. In Fahrenheit, that is closer to 30 to 40 degrees above normal. Still chilly out east. We're dealing with a mixture of a little bit above normal to a little bit below normal all through the eastern U.S., but it's not going to be anything that's going to be too extreme. Also, if you live up through central and western Canada, also dealing with the warmer pattern. And then if you live in southeastern Canada, that's going to be the area that's going to be under some chillier conditions in terms of the temperatures. Here would be by Wednesday, and you can see that the warmer temperatures are finally going to start to head further to the east, and even by the end of this model run, you're going to see that the warm temperatures make it all the way to the east coast. So you can see this stripe of above normal temperatures, which goes from southern and central Canada all the way into the southwest. Here would be by Friday, and you can see that the warmer temperatures have finally made it to the east coast. So in another week or so, we're going to be done with the warmer or with the colder pattern in the east, and it'll eventually go warmer. So a coast-to-coast warm pattern for many of these areas, but the majority of the warm air will be still centered out west come next week or later next week into next weekend. Here to be the actual high temperatures, and this is going to give you a good idea, especially in the southwest, of how warm these temperatures will actually be getting. So this would be by tomorrow. You can see that we have high temperatures that are getting up above 100 degrees in that gray color right here. So once you're getting into the gray, almost white color, and then eventually smoothing out into a pinkish color, that's where you're above 100 degrees, even nearing 105 or 110 degrees. So that would be for Saturday. You can see that much of the central and eastern U.S. is still above 80 degrees. You get into the mid-Atlantic and northeast as well as some of the upper Great Lakes, and you're up into the 70s, not as warm. And then also the northwest only getting up into the 70s and even a few low 70s, but still it should be manageable in those areas. Then by Sunday, it's warming up a little bit more. So everywhere goes up maybe another 3 to 5 degrees. So it warms up just a tad bit more. The central and western part of the country, very, very warm by this point. We have 80s and even 90s, which are getting all the way up into Minnesota, South Dakota, and North Dakota. We have those 100-degree plus temperatures, which are getting up even into areas like Utah and Colorado, where you typically think they're a little bit cold on the colder side, but in the summer, these areas actually warm up very, very warm. It's almost like an area like Arizona, California, or Nevada. There's really nothing stopping it from getting warmer when you have clear skies and you're in a flat desert type of environment. So these areas are going to soar up into the upper 90s or even the 100-degree or even past the 100-degree mark. And then even in this pink color, this is where you're getting past 110 degrees, even approaching 115 in some of these areas. So that's very, very warm in these areas. Here would be by Monday, and you're even starting to see a few green shades pop up in southern Arizona, which is signifying that we're getting near 117, 118 degrees, even getting up near 120 degrees in a few of these areas. The central and western part of the country, very, very warm by this point. So this would be by Monday, and then Tuesday, maybe even into Wednesday, probably is going to be the warmest day for the Rockies and the West in general. So up in Montana, Wyoming, they're getting up near 105 to 110 degrees, believe it or not, into northern Wyoming and eastern Montana, which kind of seems a little bit kind of reverse of the typical logic. But because of how above normal these temperatures will be getting, there's really, again, nothing stopping it from getting up near 100, maybe 105 degrees. Even in the higher elevations, they're going to top out in the 80s. So even if you're going on a hike to kind of avoid the warmer temperatures, if you're going into the higher elevations, elevations, you're still going to be getting up into the 70s and 80s. That could cause some rapid snow melt in many of these areas that still have snow on the higher elevations. And then look down in the southwest. If you look in the top right part of your screen, it shows the maximum temperature on this map, and that's 122 degrees. So somewhere on the border of California and Arizona is getting up to 122 degrees. That is really, really extreme heat there, especially for early June. We're still not that far into the month. So really warm temperatures into these areas. Continuing this along a little bit more, stays very warm in the southwest, maybe a degree or two colder. The warmer temperatures now moving out of Montana, and they're now into the northern plains. So South Dakota, Nebraska, North Dakota, Wyoming, Colorado, Kansas, all getting into the very, very warm temperatures. Still rather chilly though if you live in the northeast, mid-Atlantic, southeastern Canada. So those areas still staying on the chillier side of things. If you go to Thursday, you can see still very, very, very warm in the southwest and also in the central part of the country, where we're dealing with temperatures all getting up above 100 degrees in many of these areas over a widespread portion of the central plains. It's going to be warmer in South Dakota than it will be in a place like Florida or Texas. So kind of reverse of what we typically see, but we're in kind of an upside down type of pattern right now. And then if we look at for Friday, still very warm in the central part of the country and then into the southwest as well. And then the East Coast finally warming up back into the 90s and even near 80 degrees further to the north as well. So we're finally getting a little bit warmer in those areas. And then by Saturday, you can see that it is still very warm over much of the country. And it's pretty much a heat wave from coast to coast here, where we're dealing with 90s on either side of the country. If we look at the climate prediction center, you can see that we have a 90 to 100% chance of being above normal temperature wise between the 16th and the 20th, according to this climate prediction center forecast. They rarely put out anything above a 80% chance. It's actually fairly rare actually for them to even put up a 70% chance or higher. They have to be really confident. And the last time I've seen a 90% risk or above, I believe probably was in the wintertime when we went through one of those cold snaps. But I don't even think they did that during the winter. I think they probably put it at 80%. So it's been a very long time since they put up a 90% chance anywhere, and they put it up for this event because they do think it has a very high likelihood of occurring. The chillier temperatures you can see in the eastern U.S. If we look at the 8 to 14 day outlook from the 18th through the 24th in the northern part of the country and then also into the west, we have those above normal temperatures still. Chillier in the northeast and the southern plains, but warmer if you live in the southeast. And then here's the 3 to 4 week outlook from the 19th of June to July 2nd. So we're already getting into the early parts of July in some of these forecasts. We have below normal temperatures expected in the southern plains. Everywhere else is expected to be above normal. If we look at where we could be dealing with some hazardously warm temperatures, we have a general slight risk of excessive heat from the 18th through the 22nd, which covers pretty much anywhere from the Great Lakes and on westward, where we have a shot from the 18th through the 22nd of being above normal or dealing with excessive heat. If we look at that moderate risk, which goes from the 18th through the 19th of having excessive heat, that covers much of the areas from the Rockies and west. And then if we look at the high risk, which I don't remember the last time I've seen a high risk, probably back in the winter time with a cold snap, but they have for the 18th a very large high risk of seeing excessive heat in those areas. So you can already tell this is going to be a fairly widespread type of event. If we look at the 3 to 7 day outlook, kind of going a little bit closer, you can see that from the 16th through the 17th, a little bit of excessive heat expected in California and Nevada, also into the southwest from the 13th through the 17th with that chance of excessive heat. We're expecting excessive heat in parts of the northern plains from the 13th through the 16th as well, and then much above normal temperatures are expected from the Rockies into the northern plains from the 13th through the 17th, according to the Weather Prediction Center. If we look at the drought, now this is going to be something that I also do want to touch on, especially in the southwest, because they have been extremely dry, also into the northern plains, but they have kind of resolved some of those issues with the recent thunderstorms that brought in about an inch or two of rainfall, so that should help out a little bit, but they are still going to be running below normal for rainfall. to really look out through the west, and we have drought conditions that are really exorbitant. We have stage 3 drought in many of these areas, even stage 4. So we have extreme drought and exceptional drought in that dark red and the medium shade of red all throughout this area. So this is a large region where we have two of the highest categories in terms of drought. If we look at the actual amount of rainfall that we've seen over the past 180 days, so this goes back through the 13th of December 2020. So last year, December, and going all the way until now, the 11th of June. So they took this from today, so from the 13th of December all the way until the current date. You can see that in the southwest, especially looking at the bottom left-hand corner of the screen, we've only seen half an inch, even less than that in some of those areas in the grays, but generally half an inch to at most 2 inches, and then the higher elevations got maybe 2 to 4 inches, even 4 to 8 inches, mainly from snowpack from the winter time. But the lower elevation regions haven't seen anything pretty much. They've seen maybe half an inch to 2 inches, and that's over 180 days. So when you're looking at that, that's about an inch of rain every 90 days. So that's really crazy. And if we look at the 7-day outlooks, if you were to look at the expected rainfall over the next couple of weeks, we're not expecting any rainfall in the entire western third of the country. The east has been fairly active in terms of precipitation. The northern plains, they have been a little bit below normal. They've only seen about 4 to 10 inches of rainfall, mostly about 4 to 7 or 8 inches of rainfall, but still much better than what we're dealing with in the southwest, where they've seen pretty much nothing in terms of rainfall over the past 180 days. If we look at the percent of normal, that is, and unfortunately it cuts out in the west, so we don't see for the west coast how dry it has been, but this is showing you that we've only seen about 10 to 20% of the annual rainfall, meaning that we would by this point have, in most cases, 5 to 10 times the amount of rainfall that we have right now. Sorry about the dog barking in the background, but this is really crazy. This is really crazy because we haven't seen any rainfall in these areas, so we're going to be hoping that these areas do actually get some rainfall. Again, in parts of the east, we do have a good enough amount of rainfall, so you guys are actually running a little bit above normal. So that is going to wrap it up for today's video. Sorry that it is a bit of a longer one, but there was a lot of information to pack into here. I will be updating you guys on this event, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.